My name's Anna Weersinga, and I'm from New York City.
My name is Brendan Barrett, and I go to school at Princeton. I'm a freshman this year.
Family celebrated Christmas and Easter, but we weren't very religious. Most of my extended family is actually Jewish, so our main holiday with family was Thanksgiving, and we also did Hanukkah and Passover.
My parents are pretty devout. But when I was about 13, when I became a teenager, I started to question why am I going to church? Like, I didn't really believe it. I started to be turned off by hypocrisy that I saw in my church. Like people who said they were Christian weren't really good people.
I was diagnosed with cancer when I was in 9th grade. So I had to go through a lot of medical treatments, which was really stressful, and I had just started a new school. It was altogether a really unhappy time for me, really. And I felt really alone in my family situation and really angry. I don't think I really knew what I was angry at the time. And looking back, I realized I was just really angry at God, but I didn't really know who God was. And I was sort of angry in a disembodied way, like angry at the world, angry at things in general.
So for a while I was really attracted to this idea of being spiritual but not religious. But over time I gradually started to see that a lot of these people who call themselves spiritual and not religious don't in fact do much of anything. There's a lot of gritty work that needs to be done to make the world a better place, and vague talk and vague emotional experiences every now and then, it just doesn't really do anything, unfortunately.
My senior year of high school, I had a reoccurrence and I had to have more surgeries, and that kind of continued. It continued through the beginning of freshman year at college. And I was actually doing better medically by the end of the year, but I was not doing better psychologically.
I discovered that my old church was very involved in social justice and in community service, in building homes in rural communities across the United States. Realizing that Christianity had this strain of social justice and community service was really important in my faith journey.
A friend brought me to a PFA movie night, and she didn't tell me it was a Christian organization. I think at that point, if she had told me, I might not have gone, but they made it so easy for me. They reached out to me and were just amazing. And I remember leaving the movie night and thinking, how are these people so great and so friendly? Like, all of them. I didn't meet a single person who was judgmental or anything. And I realized later when I went to a few more PFA events that they were all Christians. And that's what it was. That's what made them amazing and set them apart, was that they were Christian.
So I arrived at Princeton about 6 months ago, and basically as soon as I stepped on campus, Princeton Faith in Action was right there. I was blown away by how well organized and how receptive they were. Right away, people were introducing themselves to me, and very soon I was involved in drumming for the worship band, and a weekly Bible course, and meeting with one of the Princeton Faith in Action leaders. Princeton Faith in Action is really interested in meeting people where they're at, and I really feel grateful that they've done that for me.
I was just not doing well. My grades were slipping. I was so incredibly depressed. I couldn't leave my room for days. There was really a breaking point.
When I met her, my immediate feeling was that this was one of the most fragile people I'd ever seen. She looked like she was on the verge of breakdown.
It was after spring break of second semester freshman year, and I'd been in my room for 5 days and I hadn't left. I don't know exactly what happened, but I suddenly felt really strongly that something needed to change. I could not stay there. I could not, live in my room for the rest of my life.
Knowing Dan and Chuck and Scott and friends of mine from the Bible course, it's really, these people have really helped to deepen my faith and strengthen my devotion to Christ.
Brendan was somebody who came regularly to the events that we had during the freshman campaign, and he was a great guy. I enjoyed meeting him at the beginning, and he joined the Bible course that I've led. And he's been a faithful member and a great contributor to the course ever since.
Yeah, Bible course is great. I really love being in a good discussion about the Bible, about Christianity, with people who can pull out Bible verses to support what they're saying, and who have a really good knowledge of Scripture. And if I'm gonna take Christianity seriously, then I'm gonna have to take the Bible seriously, I've realized. one of the points in my Bible course that struck me in particular was the idea that you can know Christ and you can know about Christ, and they're two different things. And oftentimes people know about Christ, but they don't actually know Christ. And I realized this applied to me. I can tell a lot of Bible stories and that sort of thing, and I can say historical facts about Christ, but having a relationship is something completely different. And I realized this is something I really wanted. It's really thanks to Princeton Faith in Action and my Bible course that I realized that I wanted this.
And I kept going to PFA events and meeting more Christians, and slowly started to feel like I was becoming a Christian myself. It was really a slow sort of sinking in and really learning about Christianity. I didn't just jump right into it. It was more of a research sort of project where I learned everything I could about it and saw how it was changing my life.
The next time I spent time with Anna was a few months later at the PFA ski trip. And she was a completely different person. She looked healthy and whole, and she smiled and radiated wholeness. And in conversations with her, it turned out that she had accepted Christ in an interim period, and it was the power of Christ that had transformed her.
I was afraid that people who I had known would remember me as this sort of depressed, morose person that I'd been before I left. So the first thing I did, I went on the Princeton Faith in Action ski retreat, which they have. And that was a great experience. I met a lot of really wonderful people, again, from Princeton Faith in Action, and renewed a lot of friendships. I felt like I started off on the right foot. I turned a new page and felt a real change. Definitely more appreciative of the power of God than I think I ever could have been if I had just come to God in an easy way.